All right, so now that E3 has ended, we pretty much have an idea as to how Nintendo and Microsoft's release schedule through the holiday of 2021 is going to look, with Nintendo having Metroid Dread, Shin Megami Tensei 5, Pokemon, and Mario Party, and Microsoft having Halo and Forza. But we're still unsure as to what Sony is doing this holiday, as they don't take part in E3 anymore. But we do expect for Sony to have some sort of event here over the summer. In fact, there's a good chance it's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. And I wanted to go over some of the rumors and thoughts around what we could be getting from Sony, because I think things are about to get pretty interesting here for them. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below and hit that little notification bell so you can keep up to date with all the uploads that go up here on the channel. So first thing we need to realize with Sony right now is they don't have any big time release for the holiday. We assume that we're going to see Horizon Forbidden West make it into the holiday 2021, but Sony still doesn't seem 100% sure that it's going to be there, so I kind of think that release is coming down to the wire, but I believe it's going to make it into holiday 2021. Could end up being in November, like late November, but I think it's going to make it in. But with what we know now with release dates, we can see that Sony is mostly leaning on third parties as the release schedule is set up now, outside of a game that I'm looking forward to, which is Kena Bridge of Spirits. But after you get beyond that, you start to get into things like Madden, Call of Duty, Battlefield, NBA. Those are the kind of games that did very well on the PS4 because it was seen as the default system for third-party games, but nothing yet when it comes to Sony's first-party studios is interesting. We will see Ghostwire Tokyo, right? That's technically from Microsoft now, but it was basically, I would say, developed mostly without Microsoft, and then we'll also see Deathloop thrown in there too. But for the most part, yeah, they're looking towards third-party developers to hold up the PS5, at least as of now, because it does look like we could be seeing a certain event make a return here pretty soon. There have been talks around possibly an event happening on June 28th, with the other rumor being July 8th, and it looks like we might be seeing the PlayStation Experience make a return, as we had a trademark for PSX that was filed on the 11th of June, so a little over a week ago, and the identification is organizing, promoting, and conducting exhibitions and conferences for commercial purposes. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if this ended up being more of an event than just like a couple hour stream. What if Sony decided to do like their own mini E3, where it was a couple of days where they would just drop announcements and just have pre-recorded things already set up? Sure, they could do some live event stuff, but that would be an interesting way to kind of take over the internet for an entire week, just dropping bits of information throughout the course of like a Monday through a Thursday. But some of the rumors around what Sony could be lining up here for either this holiday or going into the beginning of 2022 include some kind of interesting things, like the idea of a Bloodborne remaster. Some were wondering if it would be like a Bloodborne sequel. That got shot down pretty quick, but there have been a lot of talks around a Bloodborne remaster, and that would be fine. I feel like they could even just do a patch. From what I understand, there is more work that would probably have to go into it than just a patch, but a Bloodborne remaster would be, I think, a pretty hype announcement for a lot of people to see on the PlayStation 5. But the biggest thing I've been thinking about with the PS5 is I kind of think that Sony should start kind of getting into the idea of, okay, we're also going to be showing more PlayStation 5 only titles, as there's been a lot of talk online, obviously, about the whole cross-gen thing with Sony, even backtracking with stuff like Gran Turismo 7 that was originally announced as a PS5 title in their own trailers, and then, oh, it's also on the PS4 now. We just had Ratchet & Clank come out, which was, you know, touted as this PS5 only title that's taking advantage of the hardware. But now that we're past that, there's really no games coming out from Sony that are specifically designed, announced as of now, for the PS5. Everything's pretty much using the PS4 as well, which is fine for people who can't find a PS5, because that's obviously an issue. But I think it's nice to have a balance of both. So if we could see Sony maybe announce a game or two that's like, this is only PS5. It's from one of our first party studios, and it's going to once again show you why you should be upgrading to the PS5. I think that'd be a good idea. In fact, I think one of the developers they could use for that would be like Sucker Punch, right? I mean, they obviously did Ghost of Tsushima, which was awesome, but I kind of wonder if they are ready to start talking or at least giving an idea as to what they're working on next. In fact, I think the franchise that would do really well to show off the PS5, and this has been rumored for a little while now, is a new Infamous game. I mean, think about all the really cool things they could probably do with the SSD there, the visuals, ray tracing, all of this stuff. But that game really showed off Second Son, what the PS4 could do and the visuals there. I mean, in fact, that game actually still looks pretty good on the PS5 if you load it up as part of the PlayStation Collection now. So I think Sucker Punch announcing a new PlayStation 5 only Infamous title that's probably years out, let's face it, but at least getting that out there, I think would build up some massive hype, and then tack that on with something like the God of War trailer that everyone is really looking forward to, finally seeing what this game could look like. Sure, it's going to be a PlayStation 4 game as well, but it's God of War, right? People just want to see what is going to happen after the ending for this most recent God of War game. So even that, like, looking forward to seeing what God of War Ragnarok would look like on the PS5 would be pretty cool. And then we have this whole abandoned situation, which I think there's some good news and bad news here. So I feel like the bad news for a lot of people is that this is most likely just an indie developer who's who's playing the game essentially with marketing and taking advantage of this whole thing online that's turned into this massive Kojima conspiracy. I do believe at this time that it really is just that. An indie developer who realized they're getting this spotlight they weren't expecting on this abandoned game, and they're leaning into it probably a bit more than they should be right now, as it exploded online in popularity around just theorizing and the whole conspiracy that Kojima's in on this. And unfortunately, I don't think it's that complicated, and I feel like people have kind of created a rabbit hole for themselves to go down. But the good news is I believe what everyone's hoping it leads to does at least exist. Like, I think Silent Hills is a thing, and I kind of believe it's going to be shown over the summer, and the PlayStation Experience would be a good spot to show it. And that way, finally, Nate can say, hey, look, I told you guys, Silent Hill is real. But aside from that, I guess some sort of live service game would be good as well. Something they can continue on throughout the generation, like, say, Factions, Last of Us Factions, which we've heard that Naughty Dog is working on some sort of multiplayer game. And again, if they can show that and then even try to launch it on PC at the same time with cross-play and maybe even cross-progression, just so they can see how the PC community reacts to something like that, and if it is something they would support and play, you know, throughout the generation on PC as well as PlayStation, as it's pretty clear that Sony's doing a lot of their own market research when it comes to releasing games on the PC. They keep doing it. Uncharted 4 is the next one up, so why not try something like a live service style game with Last of Us Factions? Or something I think would be really cool is if they had a live service SOCOM game ready to go, and it played on the PlayStation 5 and then also on PC. That would be kind of interesting to see SOCOM come back for that, as I feel like most people got into SOCOM back in the day just because of the multiplayer. Like, I know there was, you know, single player to it and all this, but like, I feel like most of us just got online, especially on like the PS2 back in the day with the headsets, and just played with other people. So that would be pretty cool to see something like that happen. I almost wonder if they would attempt it to be free to play, or if they would just have like a $40 to $60 or even $70 price on it, but it's something that I'm sure Sony is going to be playing around with, and I think if they could do SOCOM, that'd be a pretty cool surprise to a lot of people. I think the part that's the most interesting about all of this is Sony continues to say they have a ton of games in development, like 25 different games, so really, they could show us all kinds of random stuff at any time, whether it's in a blog post, as they've done, where they've announced their partnerships, or on a stage like at the PlayStation Experience. And I do kind of think they could hold up several days just talking about these games and deep diving to the ones that they have more or less ready to go, or at least in a playable state where they can kind of go over some of the core concepts and even bring in indie developers and have them show their games. Basically make a big event or a PlayStation Experience out of the whole thing. But let me know what you guys think about this down below. Do you think we're getting pretty close here to some sort of big event from Sony, like a PlayStation Experience? And What would you like to see them show? And do you think Horizon Forbidden West is their big holiday title for 2021? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.